Hey there. I am going to run through a quick summary of how you can use the information on your DEXA scan score when it's showing you more than just a Z-score, but components of your body fat and muscle mass. So let's dig in. I'm going to be sharing little snippets of my my DEXA scan scores as a kind of a helper. And let's start with discussing sarcopenia risk or muscle loss over time risk. You may have a relative skeletal muscle index indication, which is essentially your total lean mass in your arms and legs divided by your height. So how much space does, like how much muscle do you have, and then how much space do you have to distribute across? It's a pretty good normative way to absolutely understand how much muscle you have based on your height, essentially. So the higher your RSMI is, the lower your sarcopenia risk is over time, over the long term. Ways you can manipulate this number are heavy lifting, meeting your protein needs, getting movement, sleep, all those things. The score norms are right down here. You've got 5.45 or greater kilograms per meter squared for women, and men is greater than 7.2 per kilogram meter squared. And if you don't have that number on your scoring sheet, it's okay. It's a nice piece of information, but we could also kind of work it out probably if you even had just the lean mass of your limbs, your appendicular lean mass scores on another part of your test. That could be hiding somewhere without being a reported, result. Let's move on to fat distribution. You may have two different ways to check in on that impact, that factor on your long-term health. And the first one is the android to gynoid ratio. Android is an apple shape, gynoid is a pear shape. And essentially, we want two things happening. A, we want your android percent fat or your apple shaped belly fat to be less than the overall total of your total body fat percentage. And then we also would like an android to gynoid ratio of less than 1.0, not greater than, like I wrote there. So if you divide android percentage by gynoid, you should get ideally less than 1. And then the other score you can look at is your visceral fat. This is actually rated in pounds on my test. It doesn't turn into some kind of uninterpretable score. It's just how many pounds of visceral fat do you have. Remember, the visceral fat is the fat found between our organs, not the fat you can pinch under your skin. Two different kinds. So again, ways you can manipulate either of these is lifting heavy with consistency, getting your steps in, eating lean protein, at least 30 to 40 grams per meal, getting a lot of fruits, veggies, and letting that contribute toward a total of 30 grams of fiber per day. Last but not least, your actual bone density score. This is my Z-score test results. If I zoomed in on here, you could see a range of percentiles that starts at 0 or -2 and goes up to +2 to 2.5, I believe. So it puts you into percentiles. There's a big range of like 69th to 93rd percentile that captures anybody between like a half point 0.5 positive 0.5 and 1.5. So if you're in that range, I think that's a good place to start. And a good goal would be to get to the next notch, which is somewhat higher, somewhat significantly higher. But what the heck, we have all the time, until we can't lift, which is hopefully a long time from now to build that number up. Keep in mind, your Z-score is the rate of density of calcium in your bones. It doesn't necessarily predict fracture risk because what makes our bones not be fracturable or be less likely to be fractured is the amount of collagen or the bendable material in our bones. We can't measure that with a Z-score. So we're just assuming, this is what I think anyway, that if we have good calcium scores, we also have good collagen scores. So they kind of go together. But you can manipulate your calcium by taking calcium supplements, taking pharmaceuticals that are meant to build the bone density up in your body or your bones. Uh, and so there might be other ways that are not testable, but like checklistable. And I've made a list of them here under build collagen and calcium, decrease fracture risk. Excuse me. So just like previous pages, we are looking at regular strength training, eating amino acids that help build our collagen, plyometrics, so jumping a bit, 20 hop jumps a day was something someone recommended recently, and it sounded totally reasonable. Just up and down for 20 times a day, even if it's not with your legs, you can bounce with your arms on a wall. Anything helps. Making sure you're meeting your vitamin C needs, taking menopause hormone therapy, and then reducing or eliminating alcohol and smoking. So those are the big doggies for manipulating your bone density. Of course, because all of our tissue is interrelated, uh, a lot of the same behaviors lead to positive changes for each of those things. So that is the basic summary. If you have more questions about a specific score, or if you'd like to compare notes, feel free to send me your scores and we'll take a look. Or you can just give me a screenshot of everything and we'll go through it together. That'd be super informative and fun. And I'm sure we both learn something. So bring it on. Bye.